Hi, my name is Annie, and welcome to the Walking Word, where we go through the Holy Bible in a year as part of discipling. We are currently in the book of Second Samuel, the second book of Samuel, and we're in chapter 3. Here's where we're going to see the death of Abner. Quite an interesting story here. There followed a long war between the house of Saul and that of David, in which David grew stronger, but the house of Saul grew weaker. So the kingdom of Israel is growing weaker, but the kingdom of Judah is growing stronger. Sons were born to David in Hebron. So this time, remember, after coming back from Ziklag, he asked God where he should settle, and God was like, okay, go settle in Judah, in the plains of Hebron, you and your family and everyone. So the first born was Amnon of Ahinoam from Jezreel. Remember, he had two wives at this point, Ahinoam and of Jezreel, and Abigail, the widow of Jabal. So from Ahinoam, the firstborn was Amnon, the secondborn was Chiliad, and the second Chiliad of Abigail. So the firstborn from Abigail's womb was Chiliad, born to David, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third, Absalom, son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Jeshurun. So at this point, David has another girl, another babe, another woman, uh, and his name is Absalom. Keep that name in mind. It's going to really change David's life. The fourth, Adonijah, son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, son of Abital. And the sixth, Ithream, of David's wife Eglah. They were born to David in Hebron. So at this point, who are the wives of David by this time, after many years? There was Ahinoam, there's Abigail, Maacah, who was actually the daughter of a king. She was a princess. Haggith and Eglah. During the war between the house of Saul and David, Abner was gaining power in the house of Saul. So Abner, the commander, is gaining power because remember, he was also the right man, the henchman for Saul. And with this new king as well, he's still the henchman. Now Saul had a concubine. Her name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbal, son of Saul, said to Abner, "Why have you been intimate with my father's concubine?" During the war between the house of Saul and David, Abner was gaining power in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine. Saul, King Saul, the one who died. And that concubine's name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbal, son of Saul, said to Abner, "Why have you been intimate with my father's concubine? Why did you go for my father's side chick?" Enraged at the words of Ishbal, Abner said, "Am I a dog's head in Judah?" So Abner is pissed. Who are you, child, to speak to me like this? I've seen you being raised in this house, born and raised in this house. Like, you might be king, but come correct. Enraged at the words of Ishbal, "Am I a dog's head in Judah? At present, I am doing a kindness to the house of your father Saul, to his brothers and his friends, by keeping you out of David's clutches. Yet this day you charge me with a crime involving a woman?" What? Like, did you just bring drama about a woman when I am busy spending the rest of my days on this earth trying to protect your behind? from David. May God do thus, hey, and so to Abner, if I do not carry out for David what the Lord swore to him. That is, take away the kingdom from the house of Saul and establish the throne of David over Israel and over Judah from Dan to Beersheba. In the fear of Abner, Ishbal was no longer able to say a word to him. So after that, and maybe chances are Abner is the type of guy to go for his friend's concubine. He gives that vibe. But at this point, Ishbal, sort of just retreats and shuts up because he's like, okay, what he said is true. Actually, the throne that I sit on belongs to David. And Abner, in a second, can choose to give it back to David if he so wishes to. Then Abner sent messengers to David in Telam, where he was at the moment, to say, make an agreement with me, and I will aid you by bringing all Israel over to you. So he's already pissed off Abner at this point. Ishbal has pissed off Abner by bringing up, are we fighting about a girl when I'm trying to keep your life alive? Are we fighting about a girl? But at this point, Abner is just like, this child. Let me make my truce with David. Maybe I can dictate how I go down. Then Abner sent messengers to David in Telam, where he was at the moment, to say, make an agreement with me, and I will aid you by bringing all Israel over to you. He replied, okay, very well. This is David. Very well, I will make an agreement with you, but one thing I require of you. You must not appear before me unless you bring back Michal. David, Saul's daughter, when you come to present yourself to me. At the same time, David sent messengers to Ishbal, son of Saul, to say, give me my wife Michal, whom I espoused by paying 100 Philistines foreskins. Ishbal sent for her and took her away from her husband, Paltiel, son of Laish, who followed her weeping as from Bahurim. And Abner said to him, go back. And he turned back. Michal has seen it all. Michal fell in love with this guy, and this guy was hated by her father. Like she's been tossed between men. Like these two men who are having, she has no business with that war, but she's caught up in the middle of it. And she's just become a bitter woman by this point. And she's moved on, her life has moved on. And now David is calling back for her. After everything she's just been used as a pansy for this whole beef between Saul and David. And now her brother also has joined the mix, and like she has been tossed around. And she is just so bitter with life by the time she's coming back to David. And see what happens. So David claims her back as wife. Yeah, fine. Your father gave her out to some random guy to be his wife in order to spite me. Well, I want her back. I don't care. And remember, the law actually says if she actually moves on to another man, that's the laws of Moses. If she actually moves on to another man, you should not claim her because she's already been defiled. I mean, she's already lived life with this other guy for years by this point. But David calls back for her. At the same time, David sent messengers to Ishbal, son of Saul, to say, give me my wife Michal, whom I enspiced by paying 100 Philistine foreskins. Ishbal sent for her and took her away from her husband, Paltiel, son of Laish, who followed her weeping. So this guy is also in love with Michal, this new husband she has, because he's weeping that she's being taken away. Abner then said in discussion with the elders of Israel, "For a long time you have been seeking David as your king. Now take action, for the Lord has said to David, 'By my servant David will I save my people Israel from the grasp of the Philistines and from the grasp of all their enemies.'" Abner also spoke personally to Benjamin, from that tribe. Remember the tribe that had allegiance to Abner? During the time he had killed Ashalel, the brother of Joab, right? And Joab is chief commander for David in David's camp. Okay. Abner also spoke personally to Benjamin and then went to make his own report to David in Hebron concerning all that would be agreeable to Israel and to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner was speaking on behalf of the tribe of Benjamin. When Abner, accompanied by 20 men, came to David in Hebron, David prepared a feast for Abner and for the men who were with him. Then Abner said to David, "I will now go to assemble all Israel for my lord the king, that they may make an agreement with you. You will then be king over all of them all whom you wish to rule." So David bade Abner farewell and he went away in peace. In peace, because you remember he still has beef with Joab. Yeah. Just then, David's servants and Joab were coming in from an expedition, bringing much plunder with them. Remember, these are warriors. They just go plundering so they're coming back from one of those expeditions. And on the way, who do they meet? Abner, having been dismissed by David, was no longer with him in Hebron, but had gone his way in peace. So David bids him farewell. Okay, bye bye. We've agreed. Tribe of Benjamin will come under my kingdom. Okay, let's make it work. But now, Abner is on his way back home. Who does he meet? Who's coming back from an expedition? When Joab and the whole force he had with him arrived, he was informed. Abner, son of Ner, came to David. He has been sent on his way in peace. So Joab went to the king and said, "What have you done? Abner came to you. Why did you let him go peacefully on his way? Are you not aware that Abner came to deceive you and to learn the ins and outs of all that you're doing?" Joab then left David and without David's knowledge sent messengers after Abner, who brought him back from the cistern of Sirah. When Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside within the city gate as though to speak with him privately. This is a personal vendetta. As though to speak to him privately. There he stabbed him in the abdomen, the very place you stung my brother. And he died in revenge for killing Joab's brother Asahel. Later David heard of it and said, "Before the Lord, I and my kingdom are forever innocent. May the full responsibility for the death of Abner, son of Ner, be laid upon Joab and his family. Never be without one's suffering from a discharge or a leper or one unmanly bread." Joab and his brother Abishai had lain in wait for Abner because he killed their brother Asahel in the battle in Gibeon. So David has already cursed Joab, his guy, his man, one of his men. How does he curse him? Listen, "Before the Lord, I and my kingdom are forever innocent. I sent Abner away in peace." So the fact that he's died in my kingdom, I know I set him out in peace. May the full responsibility for the death of Abner, son of Ner, be laid to Joab and to all his family. May the men of Joab's family never be without one suffering from a discharge. You remember, these are people who are considered unclean. So in every family in Joab's lineage, there'll always be someone who suffers discharge, who will either be a leper or who or one unmanly. One who's unmanly. One who'll either fall by the sword or one in need of bread, poverty, lack. That in every generation, there'll be every generation of Job's family, there'll be someone suffering one of these things. Okay. Then David said to Job and to all the people who are with him, rend your garments, guard yourselves with sackcloth, and mourn over Abner. King David himself followed the bier. He himself did it as well. When they had buried Abner in Hebron, the king wept aloud at the grave of Abner, and the people also wept. And the king sang this elegy over Abner. So he sings a song. David loves to sing. David loves to sing for the Lord. Would Abner have died like a fool? Your hands were not bound with chains, nor your feet placed with fetters. As men fall before the wicked, you fell. And all the people continued to weep for him. Then they went to console David with food while it was still day. But David swore, may God do thus and so to me if I eat bread or anything else before sunset. May God kill me the way Abner died if I eat anything. And this is actually true fasting. Until you finish the fast. If I eat anything before sunset. All the people noticed this with approval, just as they were pleased with everything that King David, the king, did. So on that day, all the people and all Israel came to know that the king had no part in killing Abner, son of Ner. The king then said to his servants, you must recognize that a great generation has fallen today in Israel. Although I am anointed king, I am weak this day, and these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too ruthless for me. May the Lord requite the evildoer in accordance with his evil deed. May he repay, basically, the evildoer. And you can notice David is not even, he hasn't approached Joab concerning this story. He hasn't, because remember, Joab is still his right-hand man. This is a mighty warrior who serves David. But David is quiet about it. He just curses and he's quiet about it, and he's left it totally to God. Let's move to chapter 4 where we see the death of Ishmael.